Okay, so first, as always, is the schedule. As you can see, today is June the 7th. We're going to conclude chapter 39 today. I'm pretty sure we'll be able to do that. I do have stories and examples for you to further illustrate what we have gone through last time, plus there's a last third of 39 that we did not get a chance to talk about at all. So I can flesh it out, go into details a lot more on the last part of 39. Okay, next week, next Sunday, please pause and pay attention to this. Next Sunday, we're not going to have a meeting. This temple is actually not going to be open. Next Sunday, all the masters will be gone, and they will be in Taiwan. There's that trip, that Taiwan trip, that people have been eagerly anticipating. In our meeting today, I believe we have Mark, Marian, we have Jeff, we have Bibi and Yola, who are all going, so I can talk a little bit about that. I can provide some details about that in the Q&A section coming right up. So Sunday after that, June 21st, we'll be back, and we will have 2 weeks, 2 Sundays to talk about 40. Then Independence Day, July the 4th long weekend, no meeting for that, and then we'll come back again in July for chapter/verse 41. So that is the plan. So Mark, good point. You guys are not returning until the 21st. So my understanding is that there's going to be people coming back before that to open the temple, but it is possible that on the 21st they won't be able to open the temple. So I will ask and confirm. Everyone will be, hopefully everyone is on that weekly email notification, so I'll be sure that you get the accurate information, notification from that mechanism. Thank you, Mark. Next, let me address the Q&A that came up, some from this morning. So first, for those of you who are going to Taiwan, I want to let you know that you will be known as Dao Qin when you are there. What does that mean? Well, that's just the Tao. Qin, so you can see the pronunciation here. Qin is pronounced like Chin. So Dao Qin. Dao, you already know, that's the Dao we've been studying. Qin means a relative, a loved one, someone who's dear to you. Together, a good translation would be Dao family members. Now, you guys who are going, you will all be initiated into the Dao, therefore you will all belong to the great family of the Dao. So when you go there, people will refer to you as Dao Qin from America. One thing to know is that they take this very seriously, meaning that you will be treated like family. The sincerity, the warmth of the Taiwanese Dao cultivators is legendary, but I'll wait and let you see that for yourself. You will find a lot of hospitality. You will find everyone very nice and helpful, despite the language barrier. So I would actually encourage you to make as many friends as you possibly can. You know, use gestures, use expressions. You'll be able to communicate with them, I am sure. Okay, one tip about the weather is that if you think about summertime in Louisiana or Florida, it's very hot and humid during that time. It's exactly the same way in Taiwan. It'll be very hot and humid when you go there. So when I went there about 10 years ago, practical consideration was that, you know, I got into the habit for the trip of always having handkerchief. So because I was sweating profusely. And the other thing too is that I made sure that I had daily change of clothes. Um, the schedule, the itinerary was so hectic that no one had the opportunity to stop and take care of laundry. So you just have to plan in advance and make sure that you bring enough change of clothing with you, and of course, handle the laundry when you actually come back stateside. So those are my the top two things that come to mind. If you guys have more specific questions, I would be very happy to respond to that. But I don't want to take up too much time right now. Okay, so daily practice. How can one maintain a connection to the Tao without the shrine? So indeed, I consider myself to be a spiritual person, just not religious, and therefore I want to make sure that I follow a certain routine as well for myself. It's what I want to do. It's not mandated to me by a religious organization. It's what I want for myself, and so I'm happy to do it. So one thing that is very different about me since I began is that I am now always getting up early in the morning, and I'm always making full use of the time early in the morning for my own practice of spirituality. In order to support that, you need to have the physical energy. You need to improve yourself physically to a point where that is actually a very comfortable thing to do. And what I mean is that for most of my life, I would say for the first 30 years of my life, from being born to the age of 30, I was always quite different. I was always someone who needed to sleep a lot, to sleep in. It would usually be like 8 or 9 hours for me. And if during the week I sleep only 7 or 8 hours, then over the weekend, I don't want to get up until like 10 or 11 o'clock in the morning. So that's the way that I used to be. Now, I might have been tempted to do what most people do and describe myself as, well, that's just the way I am. Or I work better at night. I'm more creative at night, etc. So I'll stay up and then I'll sleep in the morning. Now, that's actually, for me at least, that's actually a bit self-delusional. I'm deluding myself. That isn't actually the way I was, quote unquote, as if it could not be changed. I'm living proof of that because I have now lived in a different way for the last 20 years, completely different from the first 30 years of my life. I have a little sister. She got married years before I did, so we hadn't seen each other for quite some time. When she saw me after that long absence, she was really surprised because I was getting up early, I was full of energy, etc. So she really kind of wondered if aliens had abducted me and substituted me with a double. So the reason I was able to make that change was because I have made some modifications to my diet and also to my exercise routines, and that promoted much better health, which meant that instead of the lifelong habit of sleeping 7 or 8 hours at the very least, 8 or 9 hours, preferably instead of a lifelong habit, I reduced those requirements by at least 1 hour each. So oftentimes I get by very comfortably with 6 hours of sleep. 7 hours would feel like what used to be 8 hours for me. With that extra time, I can devote myself to doing many more things, like my morning routine. So I can, if there's any interest, I can talk about what I did to improve myself physically. Basically, I can boil it down to two things. One is cardio exercise. I do like an hour's worth of cardio exercise every day. I do it on a Stairmaster, and therefore it gives me the ability to also work on other things. When I'm walking away on the Stairmaster, climbing away on the stair climber, I can also be listening to audiobooks. I can be watching a documentary program. I can be reading, so the time is not wasted. But the cardiovascular benefits are great, and it gives me the ability to be much more efficient with my body, so it doesn't need as much rest as it did before. Nutrition-wise, You probably suspect that I'm going to jump on my soapbox and talk about vegetarianism. Not so. I actually would just like you to think about something called intermittent fasting. It has a lot of scientific literature to back it up about the benefits that it has. I find it to be no challenge whatsoever. It's actually a relief to not have to eat as much as I used to. So intermittent fasting, that's something that I can get into more later on as well. It can be done with or without a vegetarian or vegan diet. So it's something that I strongly recommend. Generally speaking, everyone should be decreasing meat intake and increasing vegetable intake anyway. I think probably people already know that. Your doctor probably says that. So I'm not going to repeat that spiel at all. So with the body in better shape, what do I do in the morning? Well, I used to get up in the morning and check email first. Later on, I stopped and thought about it. That's really not the best way to use my time. In the morning, your mind is at its most rested state. If you follow the example that I have talked about, increase your cardiovascular fitness and nutritional fitness, then in the morning you will feel great, ready to get stuff done, and also your brain has had a full night's worth of rest. Therefore, it is at its best. That is the time that I recommend that you make use of that time for something that's worthwhile for yourself, for your life, for your destiny. So what I mean by that is that this will be a good time to reflect on life itself, to write about your aspirations, to write about whatever comes to mind. I call that meditative writing. Has a powerful effect. My recommendation is not unique. Other self-improvement experts, self-improvement authors have talked about it. There's one particular person, like a self-help guru, who calls it the hour of power. So these are keywords that you can look up on the internet. There's another self-improvement guru that calls it the diamond hour. So again, keywords that you can look up on the internet. They have specific practices. My recommendation to you is to structure something that you are comfortable with, that works well for you. My number one recommendation is meditative writing. Everything else to me can be secondary, but it is so important to get a handle on what you're really thinking and what your thoughts are in regards to your own destiny. So that's all I'll say about that for now.